and welcome to Green Shoots, a show where we get up close and personal with founders of startups to find out about the genesis, nurturing, and growth of their startups. I'm Anisha Nayar Dhawan. On our show today, we have with us Mr. Shirish Nadkarni, serial entrepreneur and author of the book From Startup to Exit. A warm welcome, Shirish, to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Shirish, you've been there, you've done it all. You founded Zumingo, you founded Livemocha, and you do have a lot of expertise. You've authored this book as well. So, first thing first, when a startup idea comes in the mind of an entrepreneur, what should they do? Should they give in to the fears or doubts, self doubts that they have? How do they overcome these challenges to rush along and nurture their startups?
Well, what I would suggest to folks who are considering an entrepreneurial career is to talk to their friends, talk to other investors who have invested in companies, and really vet the idea. Number one, and then number two is to talk to potential customers and see how the idea is being received, for them. And if they find that the idea is really resonating in the marketplace, then they should obviously take a look at their financial situation and decide if they can take the entrepreneurial journey, and if they can get some initial funding from angel investors or VCs. But those are some of the considerations that go into deciding whether or not to start a startup.
All right, Shirish, but still, when it comes to self-doubt, your idea may be good. There may be an unmet need in the market, but it's still risk. It's still, you still get the butterflies in your stomach. Um, how do you overcome these mind blocks? They're not really, may not be real life challenges, but it's in your mind. What would you suggest they do there?
Well, it depends on how old you are and what part of your career you're in. If you are relatively young and single, then I would say take the jump, because it'll be a great experience. You have nothing really much to lose. If you need to, you can go and live with your parents, while you are getting the startup off the ground. Of course, if you have a family and if you have, a mortgage, etc., to pay, then there are different considerations, which is where it is really important to get some good market feedback on whether the idea has merit. Especially talk to investors, see if they're willing to invest in your company, and that will give you the courage to really go out there and start your company. Because if there are investors who are saying, "Hey, I'm ready to write you a check," and I really like the idea, then that goes a long ways towards showing you that the idea has merit and that you can work through some of the doubts you might have.
Right. What do you suggest entrepreneurs do, new entrepreneurs? There is a belief that if you have the first mover advantage and you meet that unmet need in the market, the likelihood of your success is high. On the other hand, some people believe that don't go into uncharted waters. That is where the risk is highest. What if it doesn't work?
Mhm.
See what's working and replicate their success. Find your
Mhm.
USP, but take a working model and make it work for you.
Mhm.
What would you suggest?
I actually take a slightly different view of this. I feel that the best ideas are ones where there is a major technological shift or there's a global transformation that is happening, that you can ride on that wave. So, for example, Amazon entered the bookstore category, and they were very well established bookstores. But the internet, wave was starting to happen at that point, and they were the first to exploit the internet. And it took many years before companies like Barnes and Nobles really responded, and by then it was too late. Same thing in the mobile space. We have a number of companies like Facebook, etc., who have created huge markets for themselves. So really look for major technological shifts that you can take advantage of, because traditionally the incumbents are slow to move and take advantage of those opportunities.
Yes, take advantage of where the flow of technology is flowing.
Right.
Uh, in that case, shouldn't you have go into a space where there are some players and they've found some success, instead of where you're the first one there and you don't know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, that's a good point. Generally, when you enter a market, it's very rare to find a market where there are no existing incumbents. But incumbents are very hard to displace. I'll give you an example. When I was at Microsoft, well before Windows made its appearance, the market leaders were Lotus 123 for spreadsheet and WordPerfect for word processing. And even though Microsoft had its own word processor and spreadsheet, it was very difficult for them to displace those incumbents. It's only when there's a technological shift from MS DOS to Windows that Microsoft was really able to displace those incumbents. So definitely look for opportunities where there are incumbents, but make sure that there is some global transformation or some technological shift that you can take advantage of, that the incumbents will not participate in, and that's how you change the market. That's how you change the dynamics of the situation.
Right, Shirish, what would be your tips for entrepreneurs who are looking to raise funds? Bootstrap funds take a longer time to, bloom and scale up. So
Yes.
getting funding does help. But there are, many entrepreneurs who feel that they don't have the outgoing personality to go and pitch for funds, or they don't know who to contact. So any tips for these entrepreneurs, how to, get into the funding network and how to make a good pitch?
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. There are many institutions that can help you if you're, for example, studying at a university. And many universities have pitch competitions where you can pitch your idea and develop, your skills and the confidence to present your ideas in a succinct fashion. You can also join accelerators or incubators, where you have the ability to get a mentorship from people who have done this before. And they can also coach you on how to really present your ideas in a manner that will be appealing to investors. So definitely take advantage of these pitch competitions, these accelerators, incubators. These are all organizations that can help you, refine your pitch and help you build the confidence to be successful.
And how important it is to find yourself a mentor to succeed or to take lesser time to succeed.
Oh, I think mentors can be great. So you should definitely look for mentors in different fields. So you might have somebody who's been a prior CEO who can mentor you on how to be a successful CEO. You can find mentors to help you on the technology side or on business development. So look for people who have had experience in the past, and look for people with different disciplines as well, who can provide you mentorship, both in terms of business as well as technology or partnerships, etc.
When you do bring in investors on board
Yeah.
and they have the confidence in you, what changes then for your startup, for your dreams, for your plans, or just stay the same?
Well, things change in a number of ways. One is obviously you now have a lot more money to go hire more people, invest in your technology. But also, you now have a board of directors to whom that you need to report on typically a monthly basis, and they will be holding you accountable for the projections that you're made for your business. But it's a good thing to have that board because they can really help you with your business plan, help resolve tough strategic issues for you. And it's a good thing also to have somebody who's keeping your feet to the fire and making sure that you're delivering on the business plan that you had articulated before you got funding.
And Shirish, how do you grow your team? As a startup, there's a lot of pressure. You start with a lot of dreams and you do a lot initially yourself. And then you see that once you have to grow, you can't do everything. So, how do you find the right people to help you out? How do you imbibe in them the attitude for a startup and the hunger to do more?
Yeah, so in order to recruiting is one of the toughest challenges that you'll face as a startup because there's a lot of risk involved, and your startup doesn't have much of a reputation. So it's really important for you to go out there and build a brand for yourself, so that you're well known as a new startup CEO, that your idea is well accepted in the market. And so there are a number of things that go into building a brand for yourself. One is obviously to get funding from well-known VCs. So if you get funding from Sequoia Capital or Accel Ventures, etc., those are brand name VCs, and that'll instantly give you a lot of credibility. The other thing that you can do, as we discussed a few minutes ago about mentors, is really sign up well-known people to be advisors to the company or join your board of directors. And then the third thing is to invest in public relations so that you can get coverage in some of the top news publications so that people can hear your story and listen to your pitch. So those are the things that you need to do to really build up your brand, and that will really make it a lot easier for you to go hire top-notch people for your company.
Right. Shirish, we've talked about pitching, investors, hiring. Now, for startups to be really successful, what is the most ingredient thing? Is it the cash flows? Is it the growth projections and the growth opportunity? Is it the bottom line? What does it really take to be successful as a startup? And what must startup founders focus on?
I would say there are two main things that a startup founder should focus on. First is the product. Make sure that you have achieved product market fit, meaning that you have a product that really addresses the market's needs, pain points. So you should invest in really doing customer interviews and beta testing, etc., to make sure first that you have a great product, and then secondly, you need to invest in a go-to-market strategy. I've often found technologists who focus solely on building a great product, but don't have the slightest clue about how to go about acquiring customers. So acquiring customers and building a go-to-market strategy is super important, and you need to understand whether you need to build a sales force to acquire customers, or do you need to go advertise on Google or Facebook. How exactly are you going to acquire those customers? What is it going to cost you to acquire those customers? And is it going to be profitable for you to acquire those customers? So those are the two main things that I tell founders to focus on.
Shirish, after the recent Zomato listing, there was a lot of talk of valuation, and everybody said, like, look at their numbers, look at the profitability, and look at the valuations. Do
Mhm.
you see a disconnect, or do you think this is understandable because people are not really able to discount the future that well?
Well, certainly at this point, the valuations are at a significant peak. I personally invested in a company here that was funded at 70 times multiple of their revenue. That is completely unheard of. Typically, the revenue multiple is 8 to 12 times revenue, and so I think the main reason for that is that investors understand that technology can have a huge impact on the market. And once you corner the market, it's a winner take all kind of situation. Then these companies can grow to be billions of dollars in valuation. And secondly, the interest rates are at an all-time low, and so as a result, people are looking for to places to put money, and technology is definitely one of them. And so that's why we're finding valuations to be extremely high at this time.
Shirish, in the end, what's your last word for entrepreneurs, would be entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs who want to scale up their business? What should they focus on?
As I mentioned before, there are two main areas of focus, that you need to worry about. Just like Steve Jobs, who focused on building a great product, you have to build a great product that satisfies the market, delights customers. And secondly is, either figure out how to acquire customers or hire people who know how to go acquire customers, and build a large pipeline of customers who are demanding your product. So those are the two main things I would ask entrepreneurs to focus on.
Right, Shirish, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your experience, your wisdom on how to start, grow, and nurture a startup. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.